Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with another online multiplayer video, and today we're going to be demonstrating Bounty Hunter Lobo, and we've got him with some training wheels. We've got him with a team that is really meant to sort of support and accent pretty much whoever you've got in.
Right.
And we're going to be sort of taking them out for a spin in multiplayer. Just right off at the bat, if you want to know our characters and gear, we're going to put that in the description. We're also going to go through each of their gear and why each of them have the gear they do. But if you just want to get straight to trying out this team for yourself, or if you're going to be looking at trying out this team later, that's where you get that information the most easily accessible.
Right, and you're watching this, right? We know that Injustice 2 Superman has the shield, his passive, and that's why we can explain this a bit more later, why you start him off with a special 1 to try to break up his shield without losing the chance at a special 2 easier later, and we blew that actually a little bit. But so maybe we start talking about it.
Okay, so Bounty Hunter Lobo. Bounty Hunter Lobo has Tantu Totem, Ibistick to take advantage of his passive to maximize damage over time, and Demon Blade primarily for his for special 2 boosting.
Right, and this team actually, let's just go into. I was going to talk a little bit about the inspiration for this team. But,
yeah.
So Hawkgirl is.
Or we should talk about Lobo's passive. I mentioned that Ibistick is taking advantage of his passive.
Oh, okay.
But his passive is hooked, which says, when Lobo performs special 2, the enemy cannot tag out until the fire damage over time runs its course. Every successful special 2 makes the next special 2 damage and damage over time length go up by 20%.
Right.
So that's just increasing fire damage over time on them.
Hawkgirl's got Astro Harness, Brandished, Ninjato, and Claw of Horus, and there's lots of different variations. She's really there for her passive. Batgirl's got Master's Death Cart, Lexcorp Gauntlets, and Nekron's Scythe. So some minor kind of commentary is that Batgirl's in the first slot, so we can save Hawkgirl's first Astro Harness invulnerability.
Yep.
And as always in this current meta, any damage over time team is weak, especially if that's your focus of that team, against any Blackest Night Flash teams. And I guess the secondary kind of weakness is if Special 2 doesn't knock out the first card, then you're going to be struggling a little bit. So this was kind of partly inspired by the recent video we did on Teen Titans Raven, and how somebody had said that they were really good. And it turns out she is really good because her Special 2 is broken down in a way so that it's really effective. There's not a lot of damage that's wasted, and you can actually spread it across a couple of characters. So in my mind, that means, well, here we've got this character, free recharge. So we've got this character that specifically has a passive that's meant to maximize special 2. And it's Lobo, who we love. If you take a look at the avatar for our channel, it should be obvious.
That's true. We've got an affinity for Lobo.
Yeah, and so the first part of the way this team is set up, it's a bit of a tactical decision to split up Tantu Totem Master's Death Card.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the weakness of it when it doesn't knock out the first person, because if you blow your power and you don't finish it off, then getting back to special 2 is going to be hard.
Yeah.
When you've only got Tantu Totem.
It's not just a swap out, swap in sort of question anymore. You do need to actually build up power separately, or you need to swap out and swap in more than once.
In this case of Lobo, though, I mean, I don't know if people might remember a previous attempt at doing this. When you have both Tantu Totem and Master's Death Card, Master's Death Card is actually a bit of a liability for Lobo. The shove that you get from the little bits of hits from Master's Death Card, pitter-patter over, it pushes them way too far, so that the first part of his special 2 doesn't actually connect.
And as you can see here, like the first part of our special 2 was dealing, that looked like probably between 80 and 90% of the enemy's health there.
Right.
So you don't want to be leaving that on the table.
Right. So it's definitely interesting. You don't, and we call this the training wheels team because the fast tag and tag out means that whoever's got Tantu Totem, if they whiff, you can always charge them up again really fast by dropping them out and bringing them back in.
Yeah. Batgirl also has good special damage.
Right. So her having Master's Death Card is useful so that every time she tags in, unless she's against a power dampening team, you can do a special 1.
And you can get more time.
That's right.
The spacing in the skulls, which would be bad for Lobo, give you more time as Batgirl, and in a lot of cases when you're taking out, that's something that's useful. Ooh, and we can see this is going to be an example of using Batgirl special 1, right, to great effect. I mean, not this specifically because he blocked, so we didn't get the damage, but just using the rest of our team.
The classic loadout as far as Hawkgirl goes is that we've done is you can use Charge Disc and a couple of Fourth World gear pieces, makes her a really good tank. I found, though, that with the number of characters that we face, the number of teams that we face that have guys tagging in with 3 bars of power, you almost need the Astro harness under control, meaning that you get to pick when the vulnerability comes in the first time.
Block.
Yeah.
We'll swap out, not gain that last little bit of that bar.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, again, we're going to crunch one of his gear. Oh, we did not. 75% chance only.
Oh, you're going in so fast and you're blowing the...
I know.
You're blowing the stun every time.
That's okay. You know what? The good thing is, I mean, it's not like there's much left of him. There's...
Yeah, that pitter-patter special ones with Batgirl is not... We're not demonstrating Batgirl in this video.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, you don't have to have her like that, right? I mean, the other option with Lexcorp Gauntlets is you could use League of Assassins Knives. The problem is League of Assassins Knives' biggest benefit is the splash damage.
Yeah.
And because she's not the star of this team, we do not need her to do a bunch of splash damage, and we do not need her to be the first person in to wipe out the other team.
Yeah.
It really is.
So
Lobo.
if she's coming in, it's probably going to be later, and hopefully Lobo will have knocked out at least one person. Otherwise, he's really this would not be a great multiplayer demonstration.
I mean, we've seen it once, and I think the illustration is really that despite having a really good passive, that in almost any other circumstance would be great for your special 2 specialists with Tantu Totem, we're noticing that if you compare this to the Teen Titans Raven team, that he's actually not nearly as effective, even though his special 1 is literally a special 2 enhancement.
Yeah.
And that's how we play these teams. So one of the things, I guess, that it's easy to overlook, aside from the effect, the amount of damage it's done, is
that's perfect. Because we knocked out with the first hit.
Right.
That was great. So that was the two KOs with one special.
That's right. And you'd think you would get that more often with Lobo, but because it's the first hit.
Yeah.
And because Teen Titans Raven does a lot of damage with their special 2 also, the way it's broken down is not something that you can really measure.
Yeah.
But has a huge effect on how effective she is as a special 2 specialist tagging in.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm a little bit sad. I was really hoping that Lobo would be so much better.
Oh, yeah, so this is not a multiplayer video in the vein of a absolute recommendation in the way that these sometimes are.
But maybe more just a discussion of why this team works and why it's sort of like the basic fundamental team. And I guess we could always make tweaks, right? It doesn't have to be Hawkgirl and Batgirl, but this setup is really good for basically anybody you're going to be making a special specialist, especially on a special 2.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, now might be a good time to mention, we've said this for a while, but you don't always want to just do the team that is unilaterally the best, right? What we can see from this team is that even when Lobo has issues and he's not quite as good as maybe you would hope he'd be if you're gearing him up to kick ass, right? Yeah. It's still a fun and interesting team.
Yeah.
And he's still good. He's more than good enough to make it fun, and sometimes he is bad in ways that you hope he wouldn't be, in a way that makes it challenging. And I think that's not an inherently bad thing, right? If you're talking from a purely team construction point of view, then you would probably want to tweak and do better. But if you're talking from a gameplay point of view, this is actually a decently fun team to play in online multiplayer.
It is, just maybe not as effective or as strong. So here's the thing. I mean, you look at his passive. Not only does it do more damage each time you do it, but it means that they're locked in and they have to... In a lot of ways, it's like Catwoman's passive, right?
This would be so much better if you were playing against real players.
This is true.
It's like Scarecrow's gear. Not to say that Scarecrow's gear would be good if you're playing against other real players, because it still would be pretty useless to remove the character portraits.
Right.
But it would at least be functional if you were using it against real players. Better does not mean good. There we go.
There we go.
Nice.
And here's the problem, right? This is a Red Sun team with Green Lantern, which
Uh-oh.
means that we're going to be...
And here's another problem. He was blocking, so we're dealing no damage.
That's okay. You know what? The damage over time's got to count for something, but it also illustrates why bleeding is the best damage over time.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it enhances damage when we play against a Red Sun team that using an Aquaman and a couple of special ones, that's enough to sort of prime the pump so that when we tag in our special 2 specialists, which in our Justice League team is Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
they're bleeding. It's just as good as it, well, maybe not just as good, but it makes up for the fact that they don't take any crit damage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's Revive. And that slows us down a bit. I mean, you know, Red Sun, Green Lantern team really slows any team down, but some more than others.
Yeah, this is not a team that is... this team doesn't have an easy counter, right?
Right.
It can deal with the team, but it's not like it doesn't have a counter strategy to the team. Your strategy is to just play with the team on its own terms, which is always sort of the slowest way to play with trick teams like this.
Yeah, and I guess the other option, so maybe a bit of discussion. Demon Blade is probably the most important 2.5-star gear.
Yeah.
Because it's the only one that will both boost special 2 and increase your crit chance. So it gives us as close to a 100% crit chance on the hits, which in this fight obviously doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But despite being 2.5-star gears, it's really, really useful. Tantu Totem you can't replace. Ibistick is really to take, like you said earlier, to take advantage of his damage over time. But there's not a lot of great options besides burning.
Yeah.
It would be great if there was a gear that would give you damage over time that was bleeding.
Yeah, good bleed damage over time would be great, and I think there's a reason they haven't done that. Just because it would be too good.
Yeah, this is a bit of a...
It's a bit of a drawn-out fight.
Yeah. Oh, I think we might even be losing somebody. Oh, and there we go. Nekron side. That's one of the reasons why we've changed the loadout for Batgirl as a support character, only because Nekron side does offer something a little bit more, and when we gear her up with Master's Death Cart, we don't need Cloak of Destiny's stun chance when she tags in because we're going to make it all ourselves.
Yeah, this is I think a great demonstration of why just the act of somebody being a support character fundamentally changes what you want to put on them, even if when they're actually in, they're doing almost the same thing that they would have been doing if they were a primary character.
Right.
Because her role is functionally the same when she's in, right?
Right.
Is do her special, right? Deal a lot of damage, right? And it's for all the same reasons too. But just because of how we're functionally playing it, right? What is optimal for her to be is totally different.
Right. That's why the question a lot of times we get, so what gear, what team, it all depends whenever we get asked, like, what do you do with this one character?
Yeah, and if they're a good character, the answer is a million things. And if they're not a character that we use, the answer is, nothing.
That's
yeah,
true.
Which is almost never, neither of those answers are what people actually want to hear.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping for stun, because with Hawkgirl at least, and against Gaslight Batman, that stun lets us come in without getting damage over time. Oh, there we go. He's not blocked. Oh, wow. Yeah, because I think
it's fun to fight as Flash, and it's fun to fight against Flash.
Yeah,
because if you're fighting him, it goes down quick. There we go. Okay, that was the 7th fight.
That was
perfect.
So we should give a shout out to our patrons on Patreon who have been supporting us for a while. Big thank you to Console Peasant, supporting us at the top tier last word. Shawn, Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, and Michael DeVries, who are supporting us on the credited level. And Eddy G and Chris Wolff at the gratitude level.
There we go. Thanks so much for your support, and thanks so much to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.